In your experience, what may be something attorneys ask in interviews that trip people up or are unexpected even when they're well qualified?
Well, if the expert's ever been disqualified,
Mm,
it's very rare that an expert has been disqualified. But I'm always kind of on pins and needles when that question gets asked a lot, because that right there can be the difference between an expert getting retained or not. That's called a Dobert question. And the reason is because if they've been disqualified, that's just like a huge, softball for the opposition to hit. So they may move on to someone else who hasn't. That's kind of most experts haven't been disqualified. It's just that's a scary question, and I would think to any expert who has been, that's a very tough one to answer. But I have been on interviews where an expert has been asked that question, and they've been disqualified for reasons that don't have to do with like they tried to testify to something and the judge said, I don't find that you're qualified to testify to that. They may have been disqualified for some sort of procedural reason. And if the expert can explain that clearly, typically the clients don't use that against them. A tough question is also whether you've testified before. We try to make that clear. We're also very cognizant that you have to start somewhere, and it's kind of, I think it's hard for an expert when they get asked on a call, have you ever testified before? And they say no. But the clients tend to be pretty understanding of that. And if they like you, they like your credentials, they'll for the most part take the time to work with you. I mean, that's where people get there. Everybody who has testifying list had to do it. Testifying experience had to do it the first time. And I also would say don't oversell yourself. I don't know that that's a question that trips you up, but that's a trap that sometimes experts fall into. And I'm sitting there cringing, saying, please just stop talking, because you've already got the gig probably, and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and you're not helping yourself. I don't know that that'll like cost you a gig, but it certainly doesn't help. And I'm all for maximizing every possible chance. So follow the attorney's lead. And if you think it's winding down, and if you want to add something later, you can send it to me and I'll send it to the attorney.